As Donald Trump prepares to take office for his second term, all eyes are on the future of US-India relations, which had evolved into a prominent partnership under President Joe Biden. The Trump administration's policies during its first term created a dynamic relationship, marked by significant interactions and agreements, particularly in the realms of defense and technology. However, with Trump returning to power, questions about the trajectory of this bilateral relationship are emerging, and the answers aren't entirely clear. The transition period between the two administrations has already seen an uptick in high-level exchanges. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, for instance, took a 6-day visit to the US in December 2024, engaging in talks not only with Biden administration officials but also with members of Trump's team. Similarly, before Jaishankar's visit, India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri had spent several days in Washington discussing the future of Indo-US relations with key American figures. These exchanges, which continue into early January 2025, reflect the underlying importance both nations place on keeping diplomatic channels open during the transition. However, despite these ongoing dialogues, there is a sense of unease within the Indian government regarding what Trump's second presidency could mean for the future of the relationship. While India has expressed publicly that it is not nervous about Trump's return, there remains a deep-seated uncertainty. One of the primary concerns is whether Trump will continue with the Indo-Pacific strategy that was central to US-India relations during Biden's tenure. Under Biden, the US ramped up efforts to strengthen ties with India being a key player in the broader Indo-Pacific region, which is strategically important for countering China's growing influence. If Trump turns away from this strategy, it could have significant repercussions for both the geopolitical landscape of the Indo-Pacific and the US-India bilateral relationship. Indian officials are also keen to know whether critical initiatives like the US-India Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies, ICET, and the broader defense cooperation framework will continue to develop under Trump. This area of the relationship has seen substantial progress, especially in terms of technology sharing and defense agreements, but Trump's focus on domestic affairs may lead to less emphasis on these international endeavors. Jake Sullivan, the US National Security Advisor, made a farewell visit to India in January 2025, and his discussions with Indian officials about the future of US-India strategic partnerships, including ICT, were notable. Sullivan's visit, which focused on technology partnerships and defense ties, seemed to signal that the transition from Biden to Trump could lead to some shifts in the direction of US-India cooperation. Another factor contributing to the sense of uncertainty is the nature of Trump's foreign policy agenda. During his first term, Trump was known for his America First doctrine, which focused heavily on domestic priorities and often placed less emphasis on foreign alliances unless they offered clear, tangible benefits to the US. This approach could see a decrease in the US's attention to the Indo-Pacific region, with India potentially facing a diminished strategic role. For India, this raises the question of whether Trump will continue to view India as a key partner in balancing China's rise, or if that partnership will take a backseat to his internal policy goals. Moreover, there are concerns regarding the trade relationship between the two countries. Under Trump's first presidency, the US imposed tariffs on India, including on steel and aluminum, and ended India's preferential trade status, which had allowed it to export certain goods to the US duty-free. Trump frequently criticized India for what he called unfair trade practices, labeling it a very big abuser of trade relations. As Trump returns to power, there are worries that the US could impose additional tariffs on Indian goods, further escalating trade tensions. While the Modi administration in India is reportedly open to lowering tariffs on US products to prevent further tariff hikes from the Trump administration, it remains uncertain whether this will lead to a resolution of the ongoing trade disputes or if new obstacles will emerge. The issue of Indian migrants in the US also looms large in the conversation about future relations. Indians represent the second largest immigrant group in the US, and as immigration continues to be a contentious issue in American domestic politics, the Trump administration is expected to implement even stricter immigration policies. Under Trump's first term, the US saw the imposition of measures aimed at reducing immigration, and many expect these policies to continue or even intensify in his second term. This could have implications for the large Indian diaspora in the US, many of whom work in sectors like technology, healthcare, and engineering. For India, this is a sensitive issue as immigration policies directly affect the livelihoods of millions of Indian nationals in the US. Additionally, allegations related to certain incidents involving Indian nationals on American soil have occasionally strained relations, and the Trump administration's tougher stance on immigration could exacerbate these tensions. In terms of broader foreign policy, the shift from Biden to Trump could also mean a less predictable US approach to regional security issues. India's role in the quadrilateral security dialogue, which includes the US, Japan, and Australia, has been a significant aspect of the relationship in recent years. While the Quad's purpose is largely centered around countering China's influence in the Indo-Pacific region, Trump's America First policy could lead to a reduced US commitment to multilateral efforts like the Quad. This in turn could weaken the cooperative framework that India has been building with other democracies in the region. As much as India hopes that the personal relationship between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Trump will help maintain strong ties, the challenges ahead are undeniable. There is little doubt that both nations will continue to share common interests, especially in areas like counter-terrorism, defense, and countering China's rising influence. However, it is clear that the trajectory of the US-India relationship in the years ahead will be shaped by Trump's domestic priorities and foreign policy outlook, which may not necessarily prioritize the Indo-Pacific strategy or India's strategic role within it. While the Biden administration fostered an unprecedented closeness between the US and India, especially in terms of defense, trade, and technology partnerships, the outlook under Trump could be markedly different. There is a possibility that the relationship will remain strong in some areas, but the pace of cooperation may slow, especially if Trump focuses more on domestic issues and less on international alliances. The next few months will be crucial in determining how the US-India relationship will evolve under a second Trump term and whether the shared interests and mutual benefits that have defined the partnership in recent years will continue to outweigh the domestic and geopolitical challenges both nations face.